I'm Kelly Carter, and this is a special edition of Another Act. Thank you guys so much for sitting down and doing this today. This really feels very special, so thank you. We appreciate it. You know, the last time that I talked with some of the OG members of Black Panther, we were days away from this film opening, and what was happening is you couldn't find a ticket anywhere. I want to go back to that moment. What did that feel like for you all as creators to know that people were anticipating this film and that history was already being made? Angela, let's start with you on that.
You can't help but feel humbled and quite proud. You know, all of us on screen, the work that we do, we love it. We love it, whatever the work is. But in this particular project, um, with this story, this largesse, you're just completely humbled and completely proud.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like we have to really acknowledge the beautiful brown cast of this very colossal film because we all know how important representation is, right? And I think that people consuming this film are going to help to progress and advance all the great work that was done back in 2018 with Black Panther. But let's talk about that. What does that mean for you, Lupita, to be able to once again be a part of a project that is probably going to change the course of cinema?
Wow, it's this is a legacy building story. This world that has been created, this world that everyone is so excited by and feels so represented by, and now it's expanded. What Wakanda did for Africans and people of African descent around the world is what Talocan has the chance to do for Latin Americans. And that is a powerful thing to see indigenous culture represented in that sort of way. But our film also doesn't shy away from some really tough issues, you know. We see these nations go head to head, and it is reminiscent of other tensions that exist in the world as we know it. But we also see the mirroring of histories that Black and Brown people share. So ultimately, I hope this film galvanizes people, excites people, and also inspires people. Yeah, at the end of the day, I hope it brings us closer together.
Absolutely. Of course, I'm going to naturally go to some of the new members of this world and kind of build on what Lupita was just saying. But what does it mean for you to be a part of this film, especially at this particular time in history?
Yeah, well, I have to say that the first one, the first Black Panther, it was so meaningful for all of us. I mean, even the people in Latin America with indigenous roots, for example, mixed people or whatever, for us was really important because finally we could see some melanin in the in the screen, and now with this new representation with this Mesoamerican heritage in the character, particularly uh, Mayan heritage, is really important because for many years they taught us to feel ashamed of who we are, to deny our ancestors, to deny all the richest of our culture, and finally we are embracing it. Culturally, I'm apart from indigenous heritage culturally, but I can notice a lot of influence in our culture, in Mexico particularly, but in general in Latin America, from these two sources, main sources. One is indigenous, the other is African. It's a big influence on us, on our culture, food, music, and even the yeah the mood in our country. So this is beautiful for me. It's a fantastic opportunity to build bridges between us. We share the same wound, so we can heal together and create this B and V power, brown and black power. I think could be really important, and I hope this movie works for to create that.
Absolutely. Alex, Mabel, please join in this conversation. what did it mean for you to be cast in this film, and having that understanding that that representation was going to be so keystone in this project?
To me, it's crazy because I never thought I could be a part in a movie like this, you know? I never have this dream. I just work a lot for build this amazing career in Mexico, and I'm very proud about that. But now it's like, oh my God, I can be a superhero. This movie, the first Black Panther, to me was like, oh my God, would be amazing as actress live that experience. But well, that never happened to me, and now it's like, oh my God, this is, you know, the representation changed my life in this movie because now I can have new dreams for me, for me as woman and as actress. You know, it's like, okay, I can do that with this. I can change my own story. I can change my brain for learn new abilities in this new world. All of us are completely different because everyone have a different story, but I feel part in the same thing, in the same movie, in the same movement, and I'm very proud.
Yeah, yeah. Alex?
Well, it's an honor to be here, and I just want to be clear with this. We would not be here if it wasn't for the Black Panther. You know, it didn't open doors. The Black Panther knocked down some doors, and they came through, and they showed everybody we're here, and it's such an amazing moment. Personally, the story of how Talocan, they're forced to leave everything behind, their land, what they know, and embark in this journey into the ocean without knowing how are we going to live, how are we going to survive. I went through that. That's my story. My mom brought me here as a kid from South America, from Venezuela, without knowing the language, without knowing how are we going to make it in search of a better life. So it's very personal to me. And I grew up with hundreds and hundreds of kids that their parents just brought them here in search of a better life, in search of the American dream, so to speak. So to be part of this, to possibly inspire someone, that a kid in Central America or South America or here in the States, that can see someone that looks like you, that sound like you, that hey, they have an accent just like me. It's very special.
It has to feel very special. Um, I want to kick it back. I'm going to stay in 2018 for a little bit longer. LeBron tweeted out back in 2018 this about the women of the cast of Black Panther, quote, "Beautiful, black, empowered women. Love y'all." Quite frankly, LeBron James is everybody else in the world, because a lot of people felt that way just seeing all of you women in that film. Denai, Miss Wright, I would love to hear you guys talk about what that meant to feel that kind of love from people at seeing your characters come to life on screen.
As Miss Angela said, very humbling. You can't ever know how something that you are a part of is going to resonate in the world. You're in it, you're giving it your all. We knew something special was being created, something unprecedented, but and we felt that, and so we were giving all we had to it, but we had no idea how the world would respond. So it was just such a tremendous blessing, and breathtakingly. It just felt just blessed, and we were just thankful that it just resonated that way. And the hope is always that it resonates in the hearts and the minds and the spirits and the souls of young black and brown girls across the world to know their power, their worth, and their potential.
Absolutely.
Oh man, just to second, what Danai just said beautifully. For me, it was nice to see how black women were appreciated and loved and honored in all of the stages, and representative of all of their ages as well. I got to play a woman who's not only a princess but a scientist, and that her intelligence was the thing that was held so highly. It wasn't seen as odd or weird or made fun of. It was actually the reverse of that, and it really encouraged so many young women around the world to feel that, you know, intelligence is the way forward. And in addition to that, they are beautiful at the same time. And for me, I grew up with, you know, seeing Angela, seeing Denai, seeing Lupita, and wondering if I would ever get to work with them. You know, remember looking at all of these magazine covers of Lupita Nyong'o just being celebrated as an African beautiful woman, and I just thought, wow, like this is groundbreaking, because for so many years we were told we weren't beautiful, and just seeing that continue and being a part of that, it's a real honor. So the film is really rich in that, and we continue that here, and we see how, you know, Black women come together to empower one another, the vulnerability, the complexities of who we are. We see that, you know, portrayed in Mabel's character as well. We see it with Dominique. So it's just rich, and, you know, you couldn't ask for more. So really proud of us.
Yeah. You know, there's so much that I love about Wakanda Forever. And I think overall, the thing that I kind of walked away from that film thinking is that once again, you guys have elevated, I think, what our expectations are for a comic book adaptation film. I mean, quite frankly, I don't know where we are in the pandemic. I don't know if we're at the tail end of it or wherever we're classified right now, but we, we all have suffered some kind of loss, you know, because of this horrible COVID-19, and we haven't been able to gather together to collectively share that experience. And I think the thing about this film is that it's going to give people that opportunity to kind of emote and to grieve and to be together and to help process grief. And as I'm saying that, I'm also saying to myself, this is a comic book adaptation film that I'm talking about. But talk to me about that, because I mean, it is intentional, I think, but also it feels like it's going to be a film that we talk about for a really long time, for its importance and its significance, with really capturing a moment that all of us can kind of relate to. What did you guys think when you first got this script and saw that this is where Ryan was kind of going with this film? Angela, Lupita?
When I first got the script, it's really thick. It's a lot of pages. And a lot of pages kept changing, right? You're like, okay, I'm gonna get ahead of the game. I'm gonna get my lines in, I'm gonna get my dialect, and then he change it up again on you. You're like
While you're in the middle of oh my gosh.
yeah, you know, you like to go with the flow, but no, with this, you want to be like on point 1,000%. But all those beautiful things that you said, you just can't help but think that it starts at the top. It really starts with Ryan and who he is as a human being, as a man, as a Black man, as an artist, as an auteur. He has such, his intellect is so rich, his heart is so broad, his humanity is so deep. So yes, it is, as you say, a comic book world, a comic book universe, comic galaxy. But he is so grounded in his humanity. So even in telling these stories, you know, these Black, these brown, these male, these female, these young, these mature, he speaks, he assesses all those languages so well as I've ever seen. And so with him as the lead, casting us, we can't help but show up and get right on board with all of that. It's who we are. And so we are like, thank you. Our people, our familia, our family.
Absolutely. Yeah, he gave you guys really great material to work with. That's a complete understatement, but you guys showed up and turned out, which I cannot state enough. What was that first day of filming like for you guys?
I think it was tough. It was very emotional for us, you know, collectively, individually. I know you guys were new, so You know, it was a brand new experience, but you know, it was familiar yet new because of what we had gone through. So thankfully to, you know, the producers and Ryan and who they are, they gathered us together, you know, to with Chadwick to be together, to speak out loud, to speak what we're feeling in our hearts, and then, you know, to march on forward with the work that we had to do,
Mm-hmm. Well, as they say, you did that. And then some, and then some. And it also feels like it's just such a beautiful appreciation, love letter, and celebration to the work that Chadwick was able to gift us over the years, and most certainly by way of this character, too. Um, I asked some of you guys when I spent time on set. I know Lupita and Denai and Chadwick were filming the Korean casino scenes in Atlanta the day that I was there. I asked all of you guys if you felt the pressure of what all of us were talking about who weren't on set, like, oh my God, like this film has to do so well. But when you came back knowing how well this film did you feel the pressure? Because a lot of you guys said no at the time because you were living inside of a bubble. But did you come back thinking, now we really have pressure? Like, what was that like for you guys when you were on set, Denai? Like, what was that experience like as you guys were putting the story together?
Um, yeah, I have to be. I don't think we were thinking as much about pressure because the key focus was very much, as Angela was saying, we had to do and march through, but it was also to honor our brother. And so that was very much the thing that was at the focus of our souls coming back to do this. It was like that's what it has to do. That's what this story has to do. So that was very much like a north star, a guiding light, really, through the process. Was really the excellence of it needed to happen because of him and his legacy, and what we were now doing, that he helped to bring to pass, that his astounding leadership anchored and allowed to flourish. And he was such a fantastic leader in the sense of how much he cared about everyone else's journey in the story. And you could go to him and consult with him therein. And I did that often. So it was you could feel that there was a journey we were taking of the grief and the loss that that was very much a part of the experience of it. So yeah, I guess in some sense there's an idea of pressure, but in terms of what was going on in our souls, I don't think the key thing was definitely about really honoring our brother and bringing this thing to fruition in his in his honor.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. What is it that you guys are hoping people walk out saying about this film? And I ask that because there's so many things I think that people can focus on. They can certainly look at the empowerment of young women. They can look at the empowerment of young, intelligent, scientific, STEM-minded, young women. They can look at this beautiful kind of brown experience that we're having, and so many other things. But are there kind of individually things that you all are hoping people say when they jump in their group chats and talk about this film after they hopefully snag a ticket opening weekend? But that might be a little hard because y'all are sold out already. But what is it that you guys are hoping for? History's about to be made again. It is.
Well, for me, I think if the people have fun, they will have fun with this movie because it's wonderful. It's an action movie. It's a superhero movie, which is really well done with great actresses and actors and all the crew, everybody. All the members of the team were giving the 100%. But in a personal way, I think if a kid, in Latin America, here in the States, all around the world, if a kid, a girl, or a little man, if they are able to look at themselves at the mirror and say, "Hey, I'm proud of what I'm looking," what I'm watching in the mirror, if they are able to embrace who they are with proud, for me, that's enough. That's enough. Is the best award. That's for me. That's the most important thing.
Anyone else want to weigh in on that? What are you guys hoping people say about this film?
I think this film is unique in this genre in the sense that it is about grief. And that is a topic that people aren't keen to discuss, or we don't have a healthy forum to publicly discuss grief. There are not very many um, opportunities to come together as a larger community to discuss grief. I think, like you said, with the pandemic and people, we're in a unique point in history where the global consciousness is on our mortality and has been on our mortality for the last few years. And so this is a prime time to be addressing grief and making it less alienating. This opportunity for folks to come together and experience a story that is very much about how do we move on after a great tragedy, after deep loss. And this is a story that offers hope in exploring that question, offers many different examples in the characters of how they're handling their historical grief, their immediate grief, and so hopefully people feel more comfortable with the subject, and also have a little inducing of hope from this narrative, because it is the springboard of our story, and from that all the adventure begins, and we do not disappoint. There's stuff going on underwater, on land, and in the sky. And it's a beautiful just kaleidoscope of of an emotional and also visual experience. So hopefully people grow more comfortable with the word grief.
Absolutely. I want to be really respectful to the cinema goers because I would never, ever, ever, a million years ever ruin or spoil what happens in this film. And almost any specific question I think I would ask individually of you guys feels like a spoiler to me. But I think it's safe to say that the the women in this film, and what happens with women in this film, just seeing women as leaders, women as scientists, women as the people who are leading the world ultimately into progression, is a center, focus of this film. And I want to talk about that because that feels very important because we don't see that a lot in film. And I would love to hear from you in particular, why that feels as revolutionary as it does to me. I think it's going to feel to cinema goers too.
The initial um, process and the initial route of putting this film together after losing our brother was to, he kind of described it as if a bomb goes off, the people that are impacted, that's closest to that bomb, feel it the most. And that's basically what happened to us, and this situation happened, and it not only happened to us as cast members who love Chad so much, but also the characters that we all know and love from the first film, feeling that everybody really saw how much T'Challa surrounded himself with powerful women. He honored them. He saw the equality in them. He went to Queen Mother for counsel. He went to his sister for armor. He went to Nakia for guidance and restoration. And he went to his general when he needed to spice things up. And I think the heart of the film, looking through the lens of these beautiful women that he loved so much, is an extension of what the first film did. And I think naturally, without trying, it is revolutionary. Naturally, without being over the top, it does inspire women around the world. And I think it's just a testament to the great work that was done at the first film with Chad and Ryan and the team at Marvel Studios, amplifying the voices of Black women.
Probably not as many as you guys have, but I've been on my share of film sets before, and I think being on the set of the first Panther was a foreign experience for me. I was seeing, women walk around with goddess braids or working behind the scenes. I was hearing Shaka Khan and Rufus being played, and it was just, it was an experience for me for the time that I spent visiting that day. I'm curious to know how that experience, how working on that first Panther and how working on Wakanda Forever has maybe changed how you all even approach how you navigate Hollywood moving forward. Because I'd have to imagine that you experience some things on the set that make you maybe ask another question that you didn't ask before you said yes to a project, or maybe you do things differently because of what your very rich, I would imagine, experience was like with being a part of this universe. What has changed? How has this changed you being part of this?
Well, for me, is I don't really know exactly because this is new, you know. Uh, I'm famous since a week ago, so it's totally new. I don't know what to expect, but I know something, and I'm really sure about it. Is it's you have to deserve it every day. You work to deserve what is happening in your life. You know, never take it nothing for granted. So you just need to be working and keep going and do your best. And yeah, I mean, you are in touch with your vulnerability, your fragility as a human being. Embrace that. Be surrounded by people that you love and they love you, like my family. These cast members, they are honestly they are fantastic. I always feel welcome. I'm always felt protected, and I always felt like a part of a family. It was like the cousin who is arriving, with the cousins in the United States. So, so yeah, just embrace that and just and see what happened.
I love that.
Yeah.
Alex, how about yourself?
Well, just to say the same thing he was saying, I'm not sure. This is all very very new to me and exciting, unknown. But just very grateful for the experiences that I had, and mainly with Danai. Most of my time it was just me and Danai trying to hurt each other. But in between those moments, I was like a little kid. It's like, hey, what does it mean to be in the MCU? How does this work? And she was very helpful in just guiding me. Hey, listen, this is what it means. This is what could happen. This is can open so many doors, and to just talk to me, not as a co-actor, as a co-worker, but just as a regular human being, and I appreciate that.
No, it's very easy to be nice to you, Alex. You're amazing. Really nice guy, thank God.
How about yourself? How has this experience changed how you move forward in Hollywood?
Yeah, I think I've said it a few times, but I really was so thankful for the leading man that Chadwick was, and the example that he left in the sense of anchoring. He anchored us in so many ways, and he had a beautiful, like, subtle leadership style. He was just present. He was in his zone, and that zoned us in. He was available at the same time. He was also very full of joy, and he brought a friend of his, Jabari, on set, who would play drums with us, for us rather. I certainly was not playing. I did not know how, still don't, sadly. And he would sometimes play as well, and that would happen in our training sessions as well. And then, thank goodness, they brought Jabari back, and so he was with us throughout this whole time on set and when we were training. A lot of the time, and that there's a spirit to that, there's an energy to that, there's a grounding in that, there's a connection in that really allows us to galvanize around a collective culture and a collective goal, and that actually, I found that to be something that is beautiful and nourishing to everybody, and I saw Chadwick initiate that type of cultural experience on a set, and that's definitely something I take with me, and I want to allow to bring where I go. Is how do you bring people to a place where they feel grounded and safe and nurtured, and they feel ready to give their all to this world and bring it to life.
I love that. And I love that I'm in Wakanda right now. I do not want to leave Wakanda, but I have to because you guys are so important that you have to get out there in the world and talk to other people. But thank you guys so much for chatting with me today. Continued success and truly, truly, truly job well done on a phenomenal, phenomenal film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.